Locust came to me some while ago, about 2 years ago, and we took out a ball that I tried with their various different clubs that I was with, and I looked at it and I took it to the players and I went, okay, and I sat down with the people at Locust and said, right, listen, this is what we really need if we're going to put a technical ball out here. So the specs and everything else were put together and they were on the drawing board, and it's taken us a little bit of time to actually get ourselves together, but we slowly got it. That we said, right, okay, if we're going to come out with a ball, we've got to make sure it's, number one, it's technically going to be sound. Number two, it's going to be safe, and number three, it's going to pass all the requirements that a young player needs. Well, I look at the makeup of the ball first of all, and feel it, kick it, move it around, feel the density of it, to make it look and feel comfortable with the player, to make sure that it doesn't lose its air, and really the bottom line is the technique when they head the ball, when they shoot the ball. For me, when I do that and I give it to a player and I see a smile on her face, I know that the technique is right. And when they ask for the ball and they don't want to give it back to me, I know that they want that ball. And I've had comments on the ball just recently, and they would all like to play with this ball because it's a ball they can strike and feel good with. I think basically what I try to do in all my coaching sessions, and even with the balls that I use now and the new one I've got, I like to replicate what I did as a kid. So I try to make a soccer field, a football field, a pitch, whatever we want to call it. I try to replicate that as the streets and the fields that I played in. So I put obstacles in there, and I put things in there that players have got to move around. I try to make it as uncomfortable as possible so that they become comfortable with the ball. And you never know in a game where it's going to be muddy, where it's going to be dry, where ball's going to bounce. So if I can emulate that on a soccer field and put that out there and say to the players, right, it's great showing them the technique and everything else, but then you've got to put that technique into practice. And the practice comes with doing it into little small games, small sessions that you're doing. And once they start to get that, then your picture becomes progressive. You then start putting it into a game situation, and then they become comfortable with controlling the ball, so they take that into a game, and then you take that and then they take it into being comfortable. You might only get one corner, but that one corner, that the heading technique is in place, and the way they go, they head it, the ball's in the back of the net. That's $1 million. That's $1 million because they feel good, because the technique's right. And the question is did you get any pain from anything? Everything that you do with this ball has got to be smooth, not jagged. And if you feel comfortable with the ball when you're playing, if you're playing with another ball, you then to start to analyze the ball that you're playing with on a field, and you'll want the better ball. So you'll always be not playing with, and some other manufacturers have got balls out there that to me hurt the kids. They just sell them. Colours, the ball, and to me, if it's going to be a ball that I'm going to be part of and I'm going to put onto the market, I want it to do something constructive in the game, and I want to be able to say, right, okay, fine, the technique ball, and it's a heading technique ball, and it's a shooting I can use this in games, training sessions, five-a-sides, and talking about it and demonstrating. Because I can demonstrate with this just as much as I could with a bigger ball, but this is perfect for what I want, and the kids understand. And the reason is you have to relate to their level. You can't stand above them. You can't treat these little kids like pros. You have to go down to their level and let each one show you what he can do, and then you add to his technique so that he becomes comfortable. The ball is not here as a remedy to say that you're going to, that's it, eliminate concussions. That will never happen. I think it's the nature of the game. The nature of the game where you're going to get clashes, where you're going to get players going in for balls, where part of the game is heading the ball and challenging. I think you're always going to get it. But what you can actually do is you can help towards not being in a situation where you got to go to the hospital or you got the concussion test and you got concussion, because I know what it's all about. And that's one of the reasons why I brought the ball out, and one of the reasons why I developed the ball with Locust, is because we've both got the same ideals of saying, if we prevent one kid from getting concussion, we're starting to do our job. And I've been in the game all my life, and I've had bad, serious knee injuries, and I know exactly what it's like when you can't play and you want to play because you're injured, because the doctor says you've got to sit out for 3 weeks, because you've got something. You don't want anything to rattle your brain when you're a young kid. And what I try to do is to say, okay, if I can teach them the right technique of this, then perhaps I can then prevent a few concussions and the technique, and that will help them on in future, and when they go on to play more senior, more higher level football and soccer. I'm taking it more so because I've taken all classes in match analysis, player analysis, culture of excellences. I've done the lot. And one thing that came up a few years ago was that coaches had to take a concussion test, which I think is fabulous. You know, I studied a little bit of the technique of how to understand a concussion, what it does, and how it can affect. And the last thing I want to do is to put children, kids, players off of playing the game because the parents turn around and say it's too dangerous. So if I can help to educate the parent into the concussion, educate the parent into the technique of why we're teaching it, as opposed to just letting them hit a concrete ball, I know I'm doing my job. I know that I'm there. And every kid that's lost to football, and I'm really, they call it a coach. I'm not. I'm an ambassador of football. It's in my life. It's in my bones. It's in my system. I've been from the bottom to the top and the top to the bottom. And I see what brings a smile, but I also see what develops, and I see players, and the joy I get now is being able to contribute something to the game that may help educate the parents to say, yes, by all means, use it. Take one home and train with it. Let the player play with it. I have no problem with that, because I'm not. I don't want to sit here and say, well, Gordon brought a ball out that hurts my kid and injures it, and then we're back to the drawing board. Locust and I don't want to go there. We've seen, we've come out, and we think it's an ideal situation for a parent to say, is there any more facts about concussion than you see your local health person for that? I'm very well aware of it when I'm on the field. If one kid heads a ball and I can see exactly straight away the way he walks, or if he doesn't walk, that's it. And I will not. There's no leniency. There's no tolerance. I have no. My policy is no tolerance for that. And I put him into the hands of people that can make him recover, help him, and put him in the right treatment as quick as possible. I do not push players because of the sake of wanting to play. Winning at all costs is great, but it has to be put into the right perspective. And injured players are not one of mine that I play just because I want to win a game. Well, having said that, soccer's not a safe sport. It's all about how you look at the game. Soccer is as safe as any other sport if you look at it in the light of not letting them kick the living daylights out of each other, not drag them, not combine rugby, football, ice hockey, and all that. I mean, they're all not safe in their own aspects, but soccer is very safe. But when it comes to concussion, because it's been highlighted, we've got to make it safer. So I look at it and say, we'll help players to eliminate from getting concussion and helping them with the right techniques, which both join hands. So when I put a ball out there and I'm teaching, I always ask for the players, give me, when you've headed it, I would just like to hear the word good. Was that okay? Did that feel comfortable? If they feel comfortable, I know it's working. If it bounces and hits them in the nose, I know that their technique's right. So it works both. It helps me to adjust it, talk to the player, execute it, and then get the response from the player. And most of the players I play with, or that play and coach, and I train and coach, are players that want to ask me, "Have you got the ball? Can we play with it?" Well, I use these balls all the time, and I will use these balls all the time training at the smaller and the younger age groups. And for me, I like what I'm playing with. I like the feel. I like the technique of me heading the ball, and even myself heading the ball. I like it because I know that if I like it, I know that the players coming up in tomorrow's pros are going to like the technique of learning as well.